बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. Dear students, I am Harun Ashraf, your teacher of science. As you remember, we have started chapter number 5, that is included in the second term course. We have covered the uses of some common non-metals used in our daily life and the definition of compounds, that is the second category of the matter. We defined the compound, what the compound is, and discussed its different properties. Similarly, at the end we covered some uses of important compounds used in our daily life. Now let us switch to the third category of the matter, that is called a mixture. First of all, we will define the term mixture, and secondly we will discuss some properties of the mixture. What happens when two or more substances are mixed in such a way that no chemical change takes place? The combination is called a mixture. It means the constituent particles of the mixture or various parts of the mixture are mixed together in such a way that no chemical change takes place. Chemical change means chemical reaction. No chemical reaction take place and no new thing is formed. Each and every individual particle in a mixture will retain its features, will retain its properties. Just like if we make a brine solution, we add some sodium chloride into water and then we mix it up, and then we can taste the solution and we can feel the taste of sodium chloride in this mixture. Similarly, if we add some lemon juice into it, we can even enjoy the taste of lemon as well. So in the mixture, what happens? Each and every individual particle will maintain its property. So there is not a chemical change occurs, no chemical combination takes place. Just like the properties of the compound, we have some important properties of a mixture as well. You remember, in case of compound, the parts of the compound cannot be separated easily, but in case of mixture, the parts of the mixture can be separated easily. By ordinary laboratory techniques, we can separate the components of the mixture, just like filtration process is used, distillation process is used, crystallization is used, paper chromatography is used. So there are various techniques to separate the components of the mixture. We can separate the parts of the mixture easily. And second property is that all the parts in a mixture keep their own properties, keep their individual properties, because there is a physical combination. So no chemical change occurs, no chemical reaction occurs. Therefore we can feel the color, we can feel the taste, or we can feel all the features of the individual particles within the mixture. And then the third property is that there is no fixed ratio between parts of the mixture. By any arbitrary ratio we can make a mixture. We can add some sodium chloride into water, or we can add a sufficient amount of sodium chloride into water, then it would be a mixture. So there is not a specific ratio between various parts of the mixture. Now let us discuss the types of the mixture. In chemistry, we categorize the mixture into two types. First one is the homogeneous mixture. A homogeneous mixture is one which has uniform appearance throughout. The color, the taste, each and everything will be uniform. So a mixture that is having the uniform appearance throughout. And the second category is heterogeneous mixture. That is a mixture having non-uniform appearance. It's a mixture which doesn't have uniform appearance throughout. Let us clear the concept of homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture through an activity.
Have you ever seen lemonade? Neebu pani? Do you know what items does it contain? It contains lemon juice, sugar, and water. So we can say that lemonade is a mixture of lemon juice, sugar, and water. A mixture refers to the physical combination of two or more substances. Different type of mixtures. There are two types of mixtures. Homogeneous mixture, a mixture whose components are soluble in each other. For example, when sugar is added to water, it dissolves, showing no signs of two different mixtures. Other such examples are mixture of milk, which contains water, and cream, mixture of toothpaste. Heterogeneous mixture, a mixture whose components are not soluble in each other. For example, when oil is mixed in water, it doesn't get dissolved. Other examples of heterogeneous mixture are mixture of sand and pebbles, salad, etc.
Let us describe important uses of mixture in our daily life, as we discussed the uses of compound in the previous lesson. Number 1, Sharbat. Sharbat is a well-known mixture that is used in the summer season, and it is a mixture of sugar, water, table salt and lemon, and maybe some other ingredients. So students, sharbat is obviously a mixture because all the ingredients in the sharbat maintain its properties. We can feel the taste of lemon, we can feel the taste of table salt and sugar as well. So it would be a mixture. Then salad is a mixture of different sort of vegetables. There may be onion, carrot, radish, beet, cucumber, tomato or cabbage. So salad is a heterogeneous type of mixture. Similarly, ice cream is a mixture which is a combination of milk, sugar and flavor. Maybe chocolate, maybe mango, maybe vanilla. Different flavors are used in ice cream. Then students, milk is also a mixture. It would be a suspension. Technically milk is called suspension because different particles are suspended in the milk, just like fats, proteins and carbohydrates. These are the ingredients of the milk. Those are included in water. The water, most of the percentage of the milk actually is concerned with water. So it's a mixture of four things: water, fats, proteins and carbohydrates. Similarly, at the end, tincture of iodine, that is a medicine used on the cuts. When there would be a cut, then the tincture of iodine will be applied to the cut to kill the germs. It is a mixture of iodine and alcohol. So these are some important uses of mixture in our daily life: sharbat, salad, ice cream, milk and tincture of iodine. Let us study various techniques of separating various components from the mixture. The simplest technique used in the chemistry laboratory, or it may be used at our home as well, that is filtration process. The filtration process is a method in which we use a filter paper or filter cloth to separate insoluble solids of a mixture from the liquid. So student, we use this technique when we have some insoluble solids present in a mixture, just like solid particles, maybe dust particles, maybe flour, maybe some pieces of sands or soil. So insoluble particles, when dissolved in the mixture, we use a technique that is called filtration. To separate different particles, we can use the filtration technique. So what the filtration is? In this technique we can use the filter paper or we can use the filter cloth as well. At your home, you know, we use a strainer to separate the tea leaves from the tea. So strainer is a type of filter. Uses of filtration in our daily life: The first use that is used in our home, that we use strainer for separating tea leaves from the tea. It is a simple application of filtration. The strainer is a type of filter. Secondly, in the filtration plants, in the water filtration plants, filtration is used to separate solid impurities from dirty water. So on the higher scale, on the industrial scale, the filtration plant may be used to remove the solid impurities from dirty water. Similarly, student, you know, in our body, the kidney is a filtration plant. This is a natural filtration plant that filters the blood and separates waste materials in the form of urine. So student, these are some important uses of filtration process in the daily life. Let us demonstrate the filtration process through an activity.
Experiment to separate a mixture of mud and water by filtration. Mix mud and water in a clear glass beaker. We observe that the color of the mixture turns brown. Take a circular filter paper and fold it in half, and then in half again, so that you get a cone shape. Place the conical filter inside the funnel. To use the filter paper, open it up into a cone shape with 3 layers on one side of the cone and 1 layer on the other. It will form a cone shape. Put another glass beaker below the funnel. Pour the mud water slowly into the cone with the help of a glass rod. Watch it drip through the filter paper and funnel. We observe clear water getting collected in the other beaker placed below the funnel and the mud in the filter paper. The substance that remains in the filter paper is called residue. The clear liquid or the substance that is collected after filtration is called filtrate. This method of separating insoluble impurities or substances from a liquid is called filtration.
Student, the second technique to separate the components of the mixture is called sublimation. Sublimation is a very popular laboratory technique in which solid is directly converted into vapor state. It is applied when a subliming material is converted into a gaseous state and the gaseous state is again condensed to the solid state and it becomes a pure crystalline form. So the process in which a solid on heating directly changes into gas or vapor state is called sublimation. We know it when we heat up a solid body, normally it converts into liquid phase. But in sublimation what happens? Solid directly converts into the vapor state without transforming into the liquid state. So it is a chemical process in which a solid is directly converted into a solid state. Subliming property. Some materials have the property of sublime. For example, iodine, ammonium chloride, that is called noshadar in the daily life in Urdu. Camphor, that is kafoor, and naphthalene, that is an organic compound, they have the property of sublime. So the materials which are having the subliming abilities, those can be purified by the sublimation process. The word equation for the sublimation, that may be in such a way that a solid first of all is converted into the vapor state by heating the solid, and again by condensing it or by cooling down it, the vapors convert it into solid state. So it is a reversible process. It is a two-way process in which solids converts into vapors and then vapors again convert into solid state. Let us understand the concept of sublimation through an activity.
Hello scientific people, how are you? So today I am going to demonstrate the sublimation of iodine, and the things required for the experiment are Bunsen's burner, tripod stand, wire gauze for uniform heating. We require a small glass funnel with one of its ends, this thin end covered with the cotton. We require some iodine, and this is our iodine, and I'll show you how does an iodine look like. So there are small balls of iodines which is there in the crucible. This crucible is heat resistant, so it won't break if we even heat till 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. So now let's start the experiment. So now I am going to mount this entire setup on the Bunsen's burner. So I have ensured that whatever fumes due to sublimation are produced, they must not escape out. So that's why we are putting this cotton over here. So now let's see what is going to happen. As you can see that the purple fumes of iodine have started to come out, and I don't want these fumes to escape out. Now iodine sublimates, that means from direct solid state it will convert into gaseous state, and I don't want these purple fumes of iodines to get out, so that's why we have plugged a cotton piece over there. So we are expecting the gaseous iodine to get collected on the surface of this funnel, and when we stop heating, that gaseous fumes are going to again convert back into the solid state. So now let's lift this and see. Wow, wonderful. Now let me switch off the Bunsen's burner. See the beautiful ring of the iodine which has sublimated, which has resublimated back, deposited on the walls of the internal walls of this funnel. Look at the beautiful ring.
Thank you very much. In the next lesson, we shall cover the further two laboratory techniques to separate the components of the mixture. Those techniques are distillation and paper chromatography. Wish you best of luck. Allah Hafiz.